Have you ever wondered why every single planche progression video on YouTube all starts day one with a tuck planche? But when you actually try to attempt it yourself, even the tuck planche feels impossible? How in the world is a tuck planche a given? I can't be the only one that feels this way, right? In this video, I will share the techniques I learned that no one talks about and also describe what it actually feels like to hold a tuck planche. The only and most requested skill that people want me to learn is the planche. I thought about it, but I never really took action because I have to start pretty much from zero. When I made videos like learning the muscle up in 35 days, it was actually learning the muscle up with years of rock climbing pull strength training experience in 35 days. However, the only push strength training experience I have is holding a kick-up handstand for 10 seconds. That's it. Nothing more than that. As usual, I started from watching at least 10 tutorial videos on YouTube, and basically they all come down to these 5 points. First, really keep your arms straight and don't cheat by bending your arms. Well, my bent arm strength is weaker than straight arm strength, so that's not applicable to me. Second, protract the scapula. Well, I used to hunch my back all the time when writing C++ for work. So how hard can protracting the scapula be, right? Third, engage the core into a hollow body position, which I learned already from learning the handstand. Fourth, rotate the hands out 45 degrees to ease up the wrist pressure when you lean forward. Great advice. Finally, train hard, be strong, and don't be not strong. Feeling ready, I started to attempt the tuck planche. The first thing I immediately realized is that it felt like my elbows were about to snap when I attempted the tuck planche. When I reviewed the footage, I realized that I had hyperextended elbows. I spent days searching on the internet. The solutions most people talk about are surgery, physical therapy, or using elbow braces. These all sounds too extreme, and I would rather live with my genetic defects and go back to pulling if those are the only solutions. Just when I was about to give up, I came across a video explaining how to deal with hyperextended elbows. It worked, and I couldn't believe this guy only had a few hundred subscribers. The idea is to actively co-contract the triceps and biceps when you push, instead of passively putting your weight onto your joints. It seems so obvious in hindsight, but I guess my body just isn't as gifted as the pros, whose body just do it naturally. However, I still couldn't successfully do the tuck planche. I was unable to lean forward enough because my wrists couldn't deal with the pressure. When I tried to force it, I ended up cramping my abs because my wrists frantically pushed my body backwards to prevent themselves from snapping while my abs were trying to hold the position. I knew if I could make my wrists get used to the pressure, I would be able to get it. Therefore, the exercises I decided to work on were 3 sets of 3 rep max effort planche leans and 3 sets of max effort L-sits. Planche lean feels like the best way to train the wrist because you can put as much pressure on your wrist as your wrist can take in a controlled position. As for the L-sit, it works the core and also the wrists. So I thought it was a good idea to do them. I trained and trained and trained. I always attempted the tuck planche 1 to 2 times before doing the planche leans and L-sits to see where I was at. 64 days flew by really fast. I felt my wrists were getting stronger, but the progress seemed a bit too slow. I knew there had to be some techniques that I was still not doing right. I decided to compare my attempt side by side with the pros, and I finally understood it. Scapula protraction is not equal to hunchback. Even though both result in a rounded back, they are actually very different. For hunchback, the round happens at the mid-back, and when you stand up and disengage all muscles, this happens naturally without any effort. As for scapular protraction, the round happens at the upper back and shoulders, and when you stand up, you actually have to actively engage the muscles at the upper back and shoulders in order to get into this position. Again, it seems so obvious in hindsight, but my body just isn't as gifted as the pros, whose body just do it naturally. I applied this fix, and this happened. Okay. Man, but that feels like an L-sit though. I was so surprised to hold it, and I had to double check the footage to make sure I was doing it right. So I decided to give it another go with the aim of hitting 5 seconds. And this happened. Ooh! Is that it? Yes! Top planche unlocked! Oh! Oh my god! I found that trying to look forward instead of looking down helps get the scapula protraction right. You also want to push very actively, as if your palms are going to leave the ground. I also don't feel a lot of pressure on my shoulders, as all the YouTube experts mentioned. And it could be because I'm still very early in my planche journey. The main pressure I feel is on my wrists and some on the core. Another thing I will have to disagree with the YouTube experts is the importance of bent arm push strength for achieving the tuck planche.
Stop trying the tuck planche to get the tuck planche. Work on your bent arm strength. Your military press probably sucks. You need to work on your push-ups.
If you can't do 30 push-ups in a row yet, then you really don't want to be trying out for the tuck planche yet.
My max push-ups are only 6 reps in a row. And of course I'm talking about slow and controlled perfect form push-ups. If I were to sacrifice form and rush it, I might be able to get to 10 reps. But in any case, I'm in no way close to the requirement of 25 to 30 reps mentioned by the YouTube experts. Thanks for watching the first episode of my road to full planche. To be honest, I'm getting old and I don't know how much time I still have for my body to achieve the full planche. I feel like my body is still ascending at the moment, but conventional wisdom says that the decline is going to happen pretty soon because Father Time is undefeated. Anyways, I'll still try my best to achieve the full planche and complete this series, so definitely stay tuned for that. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out my website, geekclimber.com. See you in the next video.